Welcome again to Wickerson Studios. It's been a few days because I've been awfully busy at work. But what I have here is just a continuation of the past video. I'm going to break it into a pretty detailed tutorial. However, I just want to show what was going on because it's fairly interesting. I didn't add much to it. I used a simple Python script to build a node that I've customized a little bit away from the basic node. And even though I kind of relate it to the relative items, pulling my bifocals just to the relative item node is the way I used to think of data and work in Grasshopper, but I'm trying to tuck that into Python quite a bit. Got some pretty interesting forms and ways of panelizing and grabbing access to what might be considered windows or surfaces. And you can really see that on the Rhino window. As I play with that, I also have a way of visualizing if I went into render, which I'll do in a minute, but also a way of thinking of these panels as they subdivide into triangles, which is really what the algorithm ends up doing in this script here, which is a little longer than usual, but not too hard to figure out with some simple Rhino script functions. And then what I did was I took it and debracked it as a surface and projected it down onto a plane, which I just internalized as a blue plane here. I moved it in the Z direction and lofted it, so I got sidewalls to everything, which I thought was pretty nice. And actually, I used that as there's a little bit of grafting and flattening involved and simplification that's used, which I've been getting better at. But what I like is it compartmentalizes these kind of sections as they run down, almost like columns and walls, which could be used later in Revit. And one step-level tool that I really find interesting is we kind of expand this and you see what happens in the Rhino window and possibly in the Revit as we do it. I like the way, kind of wish it was the same navigation tools in Revit and in Rhino, which you got to do a little shift and right click and scroll wheel button to do it. But this little stagger is really nice because as I move this middle step up, not the tolerance, which would do a different thing as well. As I move this, you can see it really has a way of pulling that building and offsetting it and projecting it down to that surface. And I like the surface because it keeps things kind of in the middle and keeps things reasonable to where they can be. And you can also very quickly mirror this, which is pretty interesting as a surface as it generates the walls. I'll just show you here. Grab a little negative node, which is something I'm playing with geometrically in Revit as well. Throw that through here as well, and throw that one in with the shift into the step. You'll see you mirror that. Just takes a second. Now you've got a pretty cool tool that it kind of predicts where each side would go. I'm not sure if that's going to work as well with double sides. I think it'll actually fail on maybe the edges. Down here on the loft. If I do that, I'm going to have to play with my data a little bit to figure that one out. So this is something I was thinking of doing afterwards. Maybe I'll just leave that off for now. Because I do like the four sides that have kind of found their way down and compartmentalized. And what we'll do is we'll just go over to render, which doesn't give you the sides, but gives you the top and shows you a little more what's happening in the color of what's split and how things are actually analyzed. I thought that was kind of interesting. I kept one red and one green. I kept them actually separate, so I could grab this surface and this surface, so you could play off the different panels, so then you definitely get to analyze that differently in Revit. So I find that interesting to play with, and then also panelizing almost like a window surface on top. And then with your tolerance, of course, that's going to change as you move that as to what sides become triangular. You can see that within the Rhino window as you're playing off of that data. And of course, the subdivide is also going to change that as well. So really kind of interesting stuff as I take my subdivision down like this. You can find, obviously now it's kind of shooting up like crazy doing the prediction. Got to bring that, put my step up too far. I don't want it 5, I want reasonable about 2 there. You've got different subdivision happening. And I think with the plane and Revit, it makes things kind of act normal when you do things. So you can pop that in again, and you've got a fairly interesting surface for a building of what you can end up doing. And then over in the Revit, you've got it brought out to what it would be. I just want to take that off. There we go. We can see the sections as they differ. Once again, the navigation tools are but it's a nice range study. I'm going to move it into quads and more subdivision as they follow through the book. But the real play is coming with these basic scripts and seeing what you can do from the initial ones, how you can manipulate them into being your own and customizing them, and then what you can do with all your old Grasshopper skills to actually build some geometries that later can be put into Revit. Well, of course, I have to become more skilled with Revit to get there, but then again, I'm not so concerned with that. I really am very happy with this study. It's 5 minutes, a little overview, and I'll go into detail on a longer tutorial, probably tomorrow morning. Thanks for watching. Happy Halloween.